Manny Marroquin. Hey guys, how's it going?
I'm well, thank you.
All
Doing
right.
good, thank you.
So let's jump right in. Uh, First, after we're done with this session, we're all going over to Charlie's house so we can see that great sunset. That's amazing. All
Beautiful.
right. Yeah. So,
Jealous.
yeah, people on the East Coast are going to start moving to the West Coast again. So, why don't you, each tell us a little bit about your careers and how you guys got together? Because I understand from us talking earlier that you've been working together for what, 6 years?
Yeah, Manny, I think See You Again came out 6 years ago uh, the other day, which is wild when you think about how fast time goes. It's crazy, right?
That's yeah. We were just saying 6 years ago. I was just saying how we were on the phone. We were working on the mix, and I was in the parking lot, and I called you, and we were just going over a couple notes, and man, that seemed like it was just yesterday. So
I
uh,
wasn't, if you remember, I wasn't even gonna sing on it. There were
that's right.
so many uncertain things.
Yeah, remember just even talking about how there's no way that anybody at that point that we had heard sounded even close to what the emotion and what you gave into the song. So they made the right choice.
Thank you. That was the demo vocal. That was because when I was making it, and I'll talk about this too much, so just shut me up if I'm talking too much.
No,
But
go
No,
ahead.
keep going, please. Don't
that
stop.
my dog is making noise, my phone's making noise. Sorry about that. So that demo vocal, it was just a reference vocal for another singer to sing, and Manny meticulously EQ'd and carved it and made it sound. You did something to the vocal because we over compressed it because we weren't really thinking about it being so perfect. It was just like a reference vocal, but you made it sound the way it sounds on the radio and Spotify, Apple Music, everything right now.
Oh man, thank you.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's amazing, and that's really a good lesson. We've got thousands of middle school and high school students who are viewing this session. That's a blessing for you guys. That every time you're going to do something, just give it your best shot. Do the very best you can because you never know if that's going to be the one that makes it for you.
That's right.
So, so you guys have been, hey,
Yeah.
all right.
Right
One day I'm
on.
gonna win one with Manny.
Yes. I'm looking forward to that.
Yes. So, Charlie, tell everybody what that was that we were looking at. I mean, Manny and
Oh,
I,
so
Wish we had one.
yeah.
this, uh, this is a diamond award that I keep next to my piano, and I'm usually pretty cautious about putting awards next to musical instruments where new songs are going to be written. In fact, I wrote a new song here today. I'm always cautious about that because I never want to get discouraged or think about making songs just for awards. Awards are nice, but first and foremost, Manny and I make music to inspire everyone watching here right now and
Right.
people around the world, whoever wants to listen to it. But this one was just a little too special not to put next to the piano. And this means that I think we've sold 10 million plus copies of the single. It's kind of rare. It doesn't happen to a whole lot of songs. So very happy to share this with Manny here.
I was gonna
That's
say that's so rare, so rare.
yeah.
Congrats, my man.
Thank you.
Yeah. And
You.
and and Manny, you've got 39 Grammy nominations. I
Wow.
looked it up.
Really? Oh,
Yes.
damn.
And not and
Oh,
not nine wins. And I
actually, I
remember.
got 10. I just received my 10th Grammy today
Oh, you
in the
got
mail.
10. Okay.
I
Okay.
just got it today.
Wow.
Then I'm sending an email to the keeper of the website to say, hey guys, you need to correct this.
Come on,
uh,
keeper.
yeah.
Jeez.
The I remember your first two Grammys
Oh, what a great
because
story. Yes.
you and I have a history, and that I knew you when you were in high school, and the company gave me the honor of taking your first two Grammys and presenting them to you, and they gave me this long list of things that I couldn't do. I can't there can't be a picture taken of me giving it to you. I actually can't give you the actual Grammy. I have to give you the box, and you have to take it out of the box
What?
yourself. Yeah, there's all kinds of
What?
rules about that.
Oh, I'm
So
glad. I'm glad you didn't tell me that, because I would have tried to break all.
yeah,
No, open it
yeah.
now.
So tell us a little bit about your musical journey. From say high school to now, in just a couple minutes.
Yeah, so listen, the reason why I love doing Grammy in the schools is, as you remember, what I believe the first Grammy in the schools, one of the first was at Hamilton High, where we went,
That's correct.
where I tell everyone David Sears was extremely instrumental in my life as a young man, coming from a completely different country, and English being my second language. David was a very, very instrumental figure in my life. From that, we had the opportunity to have Grammy in the schools at Hamilton, and I remember Shelly Yakis and Bob Margoloff speaking about making records. And here's a 15-year-old kid that was just enamored with the idea of making records. And from there, I honestly just went straight and followed my, what I thought was my dream, which was to mix records at 15. And back then, the stereotype, the mixer, the engineer was a dude with long hair, with a cigarette hanging down, with a coke, and that was
Yeah.
the complete opposite. And but you were the first person to show me what mixing was really about. I mean, I had no idea what mixing was, and I remember in our electronic music class, you showing me, hey, this is what mixing is. This is what frequencies will do to a song, and when you change the emotion of anything based on frequencies, I just immediately fell in love with that. And from that point on, the only thing I could think of was being in the studio. But listen, without programs like Grammy in the schools, and without individuals like yourself, David, that really, really care about their students and kids, and great artists like Charlie, man, this is heaven for me. I'm just, I'm enjoying every moment I get, to be in the place that I love to be in.
So cool. So after you left high school, and thank you very much for those kind words. You're one of the reasons that I smile when I think about my days teaching at that school. Um, yeah, I mean it was a lot of great memories.
There's
So
a lot
what
of kids
happened
that
after?
feel the same way. Let me tell you,
Yeah,
you inspired a ton of kids.
well, thank you, appreciate it. So tell me, after that, you you went to an audio engineering school, is that correct?
I did. I did. It
Yeah.
was a short program. It was a 9-month program. It taught me how to write a resume. And I was able to send that out. Got a job at a studio. As a GA, making runs, coffee, cappuccinos, make a pretty good cappuccino.
Yeah.
And that got me into in the room as an assistant engineer. The classic story of the engineer leaving early. I get on the desk and I do a rough. They wake up at 6 in the morning. They listen to the rough on the desk, and from that point on, I mixed that whole album, and that was really the beginning of my mixing career. And I was, gosh, I think I was like 20, 21, barely 21, I think. And that
Uh,
was it. Never looked back, and just put my heart and soul into it. And then I meet sexy artists like Charlie, and I get a chance to work with them.
well,
That's
Yeah.
really, admit it.
so
That's really why you did it, Manny.
yeah, so that's a great
Yes.
segue to Charlie. Let's
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about your musical journey.
Well, I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston, Massachusetts, and I graduated early. I actually graduated, and I know that's not the common thing to happen at Berklee, but I did.
Oh,
I really enjoyed my time there. Previously, I had gone to Manhattan School of Music thinking that I was, and I loved it there too. I have really, really amazing memories up in Harlem on 121st Street. I integrate my jazzisms into my yearn of pop music and incorporate the mixing techniques I'm hearing in both sides of these records too. And then Berkeley kind of accentuated that even more. I moved to LA after I graduated from Berkeley. I met Manny, and I was completely mind blown that I didn't really even know what I didn't know there were mixing engineers really. I knew that they existed, but I didn't know. I thought that was just like the mixing engineer would make their own music and mix it. I didn't know that there was somebody who would hear your record and put their spin on it. And I'll never, because I've mixed everything with Manny, and I'm just continuously blown away by how you don't change anything, but you just somehow make it better. Like, and your suggestions enhance the what you said, like small, subtle sonic changes can really evoke a different emotion, and that really stuck with me. You said that to me one of the first times we met, and that really stuck with me. You just said it again. I got a little feel. Wow.
Yeah, that's great. Look, I just one other thing I need to say to our audience that again, use the chat feature, and you can send questions for Manny or Charlie or both of them. And but first, we're going to talk a little bit about that the arts in general would not exist without support from patrons and sponsors. And we have a great sponsor for GITS Fest in the name of Andy.
Called Music Power. Having a sense of purpose is a key part of having a happier life, and many people find their sense of purpose in the music world, whether as a hobby or as a career. I love singing, and for many years I've found a great sense of purpose and happiness while performing professional-style concerts at nursing homes. There, I learned how much power music can have in causing people who are very old become energized while singing, laughing, and dancing, even in their wheelchairs, and for that 1 hour, forgetting that they live in a nursing home. So I started Music Power to spread the power of music to as many people as possible by giving away money and advice to organizations and individuals doing amazing things out there with music, like a singer-guitarist in San Diego, California, who started a choir for homeless people, and the musicians in the Middle East who created an orchestra for kids living in refugee camps. I hope your love for music helps you find some purpose in the music world, whether it be performing, something behind the scenes, teaching, volunteering, or working for a music charity, or even having your own charity one day. If you're lucky, you might find some clues this week at Grammy in the Schools.
Okay, we're back, before we get back with Charlie and Manny, I'd like to say that many of this year's GITS Fest sessions take elements from our Grammy in the Schools programs. Those activities support music and music education by recognizing excellence and giving students a pathway to professional success. They also give exploration opportunities and provide tools to demonstrate how a music education contributes to making students career and college ready. Now let's bring back Manny and Charlie. And Manny, you were just getting ready to say something about Charlie's roots and how talented he is.
Please tell me. I need my ego to be filled. Please go ahead.
Oh yeah. No. I'll take care of that. A lot of people, listen. There's a lot of pop artists, and I get, I'm lucky enough to work with a lot of them. And I got to tell you something about Charlie is he is one of the most talented artists, musicians, singers that I have ever worked with. And a lot of people don't realize how amazingly talented he is. I remember you having your perfect pitch, and I didn't believe you. And I was like, oh, shit, he does. Oh, sorry. He does have perfect pitch. And
you're speaking authentically. That's for sure.
Not being myself. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But seeing him in action, he's such a great mixer in the studio, which, listen, thank you for making me look good. But By the time it gets to me, Charlie is, man, he's one of a kind where he really knows his sonics, and I believe that a lot of producers in this either know really good songwriting and they come from a songwriting background, and then there's other producers that come from a sonic background. There's very few that can do both really well, and I think Charlie is one of them. I don't think, I know he's one of them, where you can take a song and he's an incredible songwriter, but he's also an incredible producer, and how he colors with sounds and instruments. And by the time I get it, I got to be honest, sometimes you got to roll up the sleeves. And with Charlie's stuff, there's songs that I'm like just sprinkling little things here and there that are just feeling great already. And my approach has always been the emotion of the song. What is it? I've mixed. I remember records 20 years ago that I thought sounded good, and I play them today in the same room, and they don't sound good at all. They sound really bad. And then I remember some songs that felt really, really good at that moment, where I felt, the last pattern you're about to print, you get goosebumps and all that. And I play those records today, and I still have the emotional connection to that song. And my goal has always been to, what is the emotional connection that I can maybe add to that song? And in this case, Charlie is, he makes at least my job way easier than most people do. So,
wow,
yeah,
that's a huge compliment. That's amazing. Thank you.
Is that enough for your ego?
Yeah, that's enough. I think I can.
Should I keep going?
I think I can go to comfortably.
So, Charlie, you talked about, when you went to college to study music. What about before college? When did you actually start? Did you start as a pianist or singing, or how did you start, and when did you start?
I'd say I started. My mom tells me that I started at 4 years old. I think I was kind of aware of things, and my mom would film. Back to them a couple hours later in E flat major, and they kind of both, and it's on camera, and they both looked at each other like, okay, our son's a weirdo, and to music, this is great, we have a weirdo on our hands, the cool weirdo, I think. And I just there was never an option B for me, really. I was just always obsessed with people's reactions to music. I used to make mix CDs for people in 7th grade and put track 4 and track 5 and be like, oh, you're gonna love track 5. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh. Great. It's amazing. Yeah, you say option B for you. Someone said yesterday in a session, plan B. I think it was her in her session said plan B is finding another way to do plan A.
Woo! That's why she's a dope songwriter, because that's a song in itself.
Yeah, that's boy, but I need to write that one down. That was cool. So we have some questions from the audience. Charlie, how do you approach your writing? Music first, lyrics first, bass line, whatever?
It varies. Like, I think I'll give an example. So I have a song called Attention that Manny mixed brilliantly and brought it to life. And it started off when I was abroad traveling. I was in Asia. I was in Japan. I was in Tokyo at the Hyatt Hotel. And I was listening to a lot of Mozart, like really strong, like almost like the pop music of the 17th century.
That's right.
And I wanted to make a song like that, a piece of music like that. And I wrote, and then I was like, okay, that's a cool, I felt like I was in Berkeley again. I'm gonna sleep on that. I woke up and then I heard it differently in my head. I heard it with like Isley Brothers chords. I think I was listening to Between the Sheets. And I started doing, and I I was like, okay, so I took out the piano part, and then I played a synth, and then I walked away, came back 2 hours later, and opened up the computer, and immediately heard.
Yeah.
And then I was reading an Instagram post. I'm like, okay, I gotta put a lyric to this song. And then I was reading an Instagram post, and I kind of just spat out in my head, "You just want attention. You just want attention." And it was one of those miraculous moments where the bass melody lined up with my classical melody. And I don't know, it was just all the stars aligned. So I don't know, it's God. That's the process.
That's amazing, and it's good because we're actually going to play Attention in a few minutes. So since we're talking about Attention, Manny, when you got that song to mix, did you have to sprinkle, or did you have to roll up your sleeves?
Yes, Manny.
Well, I ended up replaying everything, and I did a Spanglish version too. So that night, I don't know if you remember, Charlie, we had dinner. Justin, you and I had dinner.
Yes.
Next door, and you said, "Oh, I want to play you some." So we came back to Larrabee. You played it for me, and I remember playing it really loud, and I will never forget this moment. I honestly thought, holy beat, this is one of the most amazing things I've heard, because it's really powerful. If you listen to it in the studio too, I mean, listen, it's a big song, and it's one of the I feel most amazing sounding songs that I've gotten in my room. So it was just so powerful from the moment it hit, and it's one of those things. It's funny you joked about, hey, God just kind of gave you this moment and these tools that just the stars align. I feel like that song was one of those songs, like in my mixing career, there's just some songs that you just kind of push faders and you do things, little things here and there, and they kind of just, boom, just come together magically. Attention was definitely one of those songs where the magic was there, and my job was not to screw it up. My job was just give it whatever you feel, just intensify the emotion, whether it's the section from the beat, from the verse to the chorus to the back down to the second verse, and make sure it's got enough bottom that will hit if we turn it up, and make sure that it has enough presence so that when you turn it down and you listen to it soft in your in your computer, to have the same sort of attention. You get to so it was, listen, it was one of the most enjoyable songs that I can remember, and maybe because you played it for me, and I remember us three just, listening to it in here, and I had that, I don't know, I just couldn't wait to mix it, and I was like, please send me the files.
Okay,
I love this next batch. Damn.
Yeah. No.
Well, I think that's probably the best intro we can give for playing the video. So why don't we play Attention and pay attention. We're back with Charlie Puth and Manny Marroquin, artist and mixing engineer and collaborators, which brings us to one of our questions. But before we ask that question about collaboration, let's talk a little bit more about Attention. I remember the first time I heard Attention, and I'm kind of a gear nerd too. I don't want to say not just a musician, but I was looking and I'm hearing it, and I'm saying, wow, the air that I hear, because I've always said, I'm an old R&B baby. I'm a Motown guy, and I say, the funk is in the space between the notes. It's just the air, and it's like the room is completely sonically full, but there's room for more stuff to make it even more full. And I guess that's kind of what I was getting out of it. And it was, and I guess also because the song was so musical to me. Wow. So it sort of served both sides for me, the tech side where I'm thinking about, pushing faders and whatever, and the music side of the musician saying, wow, this is actually really musical. This is not just, 2-5-1 over and over and over again.
Wow. I'm taking that from I'm taking that from you. That's
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone describe anything like the funk is the space in between. That is,
Yeah.
that is so true.
Yep. The space in between the notes. I learned that playing, after I stopped playing. Well, I didn't stop playing my horn, but when I started playing keyboards and playing in a rhythm section and saying, okay, if you wanted to groove, wanted it to feel right, it couldn't have just wall to wall sound all the time. So, anywho, so let's talk about collaboration just a little bit because we've got the collaboration just a little bit because we've got the two of you here, and so one of our audience members wants to know, what is it like collaborating and working together? Do you ever have differences of opinions about the final product?
I think other than personal life stuff, I think we agree mostly on music, everything music, Andy, but we'll separate that for now.
Yeah, I think it's it's always fun working together because for some reason I get Charlie's sound. I know where he's going with it, and I just naturally just kind of it's a good blend. And you know what? I always say, as someone that's trying to bring either the 10% or some songs 80% to it, at the end of the day, Charlie has to be happy. Yes, this is his record, and my approach is to whatever it takes to make sure that we get what comes out of those speakers is exactly what he envisioned, and so I'm here to help get that vision across. So there's never like that, but it's not like that. It shouldn't be like that. It's a collaboration, and my job is to make sure that Charlie we get what he hears in his head, and hopefully it'll be better enough to keep inspiring him to go perform it a million times. And so it's simple. It's not we tend to complicate things, right? Go ahead, Charlie. Sorry.
What's great about you, Manny, is that you don't really, as I said before, you don't change things, you enhance them. And I think it was maybe you telling me that the most drastic change you had ever made was telling John, who I actually just spoke to, who can confirm this story, John Mayer, that it was you who said to take the reverb off the lead vocal track in Gravity, and doing that, to bring the lyrics out of that song, that sonic choice, that really subtle but maybe not so subtle sonic choice that just made the story so much more blunt in the song. That was really impressive.
It's like doing the same thing we're talking about, like having a piece of gear have emotion, and in this case, taking it away, having even more emotion based on the actual song itself. I feel like a lot of mixers or engineers on the technical side, we grow up thinking that we're supposed to fix things, because it's a technical field, and it really isn't. I feel like it's more creative, and we just have more tools, and the tools we have. That song is like what not to do to make the lyric of a song really come across, and I think that's a great example of that.
Yeah. I hear you with the tools. I do some live mixing on the side, and I remember seeing a live mixer, and it was two of us watching him, and he was just standing there at the board. He wasn't doing anything. Song was being played on stage, the band was playing and everything, and the other guy said, why aren't you moving faders and turning knobs? He said, because it sounds good. He says,
There you go.
He says there's nothing else to fix. Yeah.
It's crazy because it's hard. It's harder than you think because your ego will get in the way too, right? Like my ego's telling me, I need to impress Charlie. I need to impress my client, and therefore I'm going to do stuff that I think to impress them. And it's a very young me trying to impress. And at one point, you just figure, hey, look, we're here for the song, we're here for the artist, and it does. And what not to do is sometimes the best thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's especially true of what Manny mixed, the song that I wrote back in 2015 called "Slow Motion" for Trey Songz, which is an R&B.
Oh wow!
remember that. Yeah, we have like a lot of songs. Damn. And the guitar loop. Not a lot of people know this because I never talk about it, but I will now. The guitar loop was an MP3 that Jeffro, the guitarist on that record, I forgot to send Manny the wave file, not just because the MP3, I was just putting the beat on it and everything like that and put the vocals down. I was going to change it later, but I forgot to send him the wave. And I went to the studio. I'm like, so you got the wave file, right? And like, yeah, the MP3 sounded fine. I'm like, we were using an MP3 and we're bouncing it down to 2448, and there's an MP3. It's if you take it out, there's no song. It's like, yeah, it's an MP3. And Manny's like, it sounds good. It has a little bit of grit to it. It's nice.
Yeah, if it works, it works. Mm-hmm. So, and going along just a little bit longer in that collaboration theme, you know, you're not the last stop in the audio chain, Manny. You know, so do you guys work with a mastering engineer as well?
Yeah, you know, we have, well, you know, I've had Michelle Mancini master a ton of my, you know, work in the last 5 years. She's, you know, I always wanted to have someone in-house at Larrabee where we can literally walk down the hall and hand them a flash drive and they can master it right away. So, yeah, Michelle's been doing a great job for us. And you know, what she does, she knows what to do. I feel like mastering can, you know, if you have a good mastering engineer, they'll know what to do with the song. If you don't, then they'll destroy it in a matter of seconds, you know. So you got to be really careful with mastering. And once you find the people that you usually work with and that know your sound, and makes it a lot simpler. In the good old days, there was more of a you know, creative process because we didn't, as a mixer, didn't have those tools. We didn't have a limiter, like, but now it's a level playing field. So now I feel like Charlie, as a producer, you're kind of mixing already. Me as a mixer, I'm kind of mixing and mastering too, you know. So it's those lines are very blurry nowadays, you know.
That's a very interesting way of putting it. So we have another question from our audience. How do you both stay fresh and inspired, and how do you combat writer's block or feeling stuck?
Ooh, I know if you just accept the stuck. If you feel like 3 days have gone by and you're not writing anything, the worst thing you could do for yourself is to sit in front of Pro Tools or Ableton or whatever DAW you're using and try and force something out and make it feel like homework, because then I just, you know, maybe some wouldn't agree, but I think that my best work has come when I'm just having the most fun and when I'm excited to show it to all my friends. I wrote something the other day that, Manny, you're going to hear pretty soon, because it literally was finished the other day and it came about in a day. And sometimes that just happens, and I was jumping up and down in the room. It's just, it's never supposed to feel like a homework assignment. You're making it hard.
You know, the thing I always say is, like, with, like, you know, mixer's block, I guess, when not in lack of inspiration, you know, I always say, listen to music in between, because what got us here is the love of music. I mean, we're all here because we absolutely love music and working on it. So I always say, when I'm just not, I don't know, you know, I'm just having one of those days as a mixer, I immediately go to the go-to songs that get me out of that funk. And let me tell you, music is so powerful, right, that it gets you right out. And all of a sudden, it's just controlling your, you know, being in control of your mind and being in a different state of mind. At least for me, for that day, to be able to perform that mix, I need to be mentally prepared and not mentally fatigued. And music is the best drug.
All right. So can you both talk a little bit, and in terms of giving advice to the young people listening and watching, a little about the importance of understanding how the music business works if they want to become part of it once they're grown?
I'll lead by example. What I did is when I was 19, I was still in college. I was 19, and I was signed to a label for a very, very short amount of time. And I remember when I had gotten drops from that label, it was very disappointing because it's a label that I grew up listening, to all their roster's music, and was like, I feel like a failure. And I told myself that I just wasn't fit for the business. And then my mom was the one who told me that if what I want is what I want, I'll do. There's a lot of ways to get to the top of the mountain. And
Absolutely.
I realized that, okay, so I'm in college, I'm going to finish school. And while I'm at school, 50% of the time, I'm going to get on an Acela train and go to New York and pitch records to a different record label, the record label I'm signed to now, Atlantic Records. And I'm going to try and land a song for a different artist. And by doing that, by not focusing on being an artist, and I was just so devastated at the time that like I just dropped, and like instead of focusing on just being an artist, I wanted to apply. It's discouraging at first, but you kind of just accept it for what it is, and you realize that there's always a way to get there.
Absolutely. So I think we have time for like one more question. What advice do you have for those wishing to have a career in your particular areas of the business? What should they do, or what should they not do?
Man,
Or both.
so for this, look, for the studio, there's so many qualities, so many things you have to be mindful of. I always say personality is number one. If you want to be in the studio, just be a cool person. Don't be a jerk. And I say treat people the way you want to be treated. Before you even know what an EQ or a compressor, just be a good person. Just enjoy the process. There's going to be a lot of age, what position, who doesn't matter who you are. You're gonna keep hitting these walls, and you got to get used to rejection and not see it as constructive criticism and not criticism itself, because criticism will break you down, and I mean you'll be you'll run with the tail between your legs. So just have initiative. I always tell kids here at Larrabee, just have initiative, just go the extra mile. People love seeing that. When we see initiative, hunger, we see personality, man, that's half the battle. The other half is learning, and hopefully you have a little bit of a gut for music, and you get lucky here and there, and you learn from other records. Listen to music as much as you can. Don't discriminate. Listen to all kinds. Even if you don't like it, you'd be surprised. I've learned more about records that I don't like because I apply some of the things, and that's a true trigger. It triggers an emotion, like things that you. The word hate is very powerful. It's just just like love. So just make sure that you really, really want to do this too. Like it's in your heart, and it doesn't matter how, because we also get a lot of kids that think, oh, we're going to get money, success. You're going to meet a lot of Charlie Puths and, and listen, it sounds exciting, but it's still a grind, and you got to do it for the right reasons too. So man, I mean, I could go on and on and on, but those are some of the things that I would say to be mindful of.
That's wonderfully put. It's exactly. I second that. All of it.
Yes, and use Plan B as a different way to get to Plan A. Mm-hmm. Look, I want to thank both of you. This is a great way to end our entire program of Grammy in the Schools Fest. Thanks to Charlie Puth and Manny Marroquin for being so generous with